Hi YouTube, it's Ian from Big Rock Media, and today I'm going to tell you my 5 favorite motorcycle rides in the United States. So as you know, if you followed my channel, I'm huge into adventure riding, dual sport riding, dirt biking, and also riding road bikes as well. I've been lucky to be able to ride a lot in the western United States. So most of my riding has been west of the Rocky Mountains, between there and the coast. And that's just because I live in California and it's very time consuming to get east of that. So these 5 places really are in no particular order. So let's just get started. Number 1 is Death Valley National Park. Now the reason I love riding in Death Valley is that the huge distances, the huge vistas, you do these rides where you're riding 50 to 100 miles in the dirt at a time. A lot of open dirt roads, gravel roads, 2-track roads that seem to go forever. The mountains seem to just stretch out forever in the distance, huge valleys, and there's just no people there. There's no sign of civilization in so many of these places in Death Valley. I love the dramatic skies when the weather comes through. And I just love the fact that you can ride all day and hardly see anybody. There's no traffic lights, there's no stop signs, there's no traffic jams. To me, it really gets at what the essence of adventure riding is about. Some of my favorite rides in Death Valley are things like going down West Side Road and then coming up over through by Stripe Butte and Warm Spring Cabin, Mango Pass, Goler Wash, and then coming back through Panamint Valley. I love going up by Scotty's Castle and then going to the crater, going to the racetrack down Lippincott Road and through Saline Valley. Also, you should try the loop Hunter Mountain. You can go over Hunter Mountain and then drop into Saline Valley. You really have to check out Eureka Dune if you haven't been to Eureka Dune. It's kind of a long ways up if you're staying like in Furnace Creek or Panamint, but it's really worthwhile seeing. And if you're in Eureka Dune, do the ride over Steel Pass. That's an amazing ride. So that's just some of the rides that I like. You should also check out Dante's View, Echo Canyon, the Ghost Town of Rhyolite, of course, Titus Canyon. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. But anyway, if you haven't been to Death Valley, I think it's worth a trip from anywhere, honestly, anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world. You could come to Death Valley and bring your adventure bike or dual sport. It's an amazing place. Okay, number 2 on my list is all the area around Moab, Utah. So Moab, as a lot of you know, is this off-road mecca, right? For Jeeps, for ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, whatever. So some of my favorite rides in Moab, I think the one that's most memorable to me is the White Rim Trail. So the White Rim Trail is over 100 miles off-road. Rocky, you're in Canyonlands National Park, and so the scenery is just incredible. You're riding over a lot of rough terrain, you're going up and down, huge vistas, huge viewpoints of these huge valleys and these rock formations. So the White Rim Trail is definitely a bucket list ride. It can be a little bit challenging in spots if you have a real heavy, big adventure bike. But I've ridden it on everything from, I think I've ridden like a DRZ on it, or maybe it was one of my smaller KTMs. I've ridden KLR 650s. I've ridden my 800 GS on it. I've ridden my 990 Adventure on it. So anyway, you can take a big bike and be just fine. Other rides in Moab that I like, you can ride over to the LaSalle Mountains. There's a lot of good riding there. You can do all of the slick rock trails, which get pretty difficult, and you probably want to take like a dirt bike on those things. Things like Hell's Revenge or Fins and Things. Those are awesome, fun rides. There's places like Chicken Corners. There's just a ton of riding around Moab. So go to the web, do your research, but you definitely got to get to Moab. And when you're there, make sure you do go to the upper viewpoints, the paved roads in Canyonlands and Dead Horse Point State Park, and also spend time to go to Arches National Park. It's really worth the drive. So number 3 on my list would have to be all the Rocky Mountains through Colorado. So I know the Rockies are not just in Colorado, but the reason I say Colorado is that there's so many roads that crisscross the mountains. So a lot of you have heard of like the Alpine Loop, which goes between like Ouray and Silverton and Lake City and that area in the San Juan Mountains. That's a beautiful area to ride. Tons of passes you can ride over. You're riding on like kind of broken rocks and that kind of terrain, but you get up to like 12,000 feet or higher. The views are incredible. The riding's incredible. There's a lot of cool old mining towns you can check out. And of course, the cool towns like Silverton and Ouray, Lake City are awesome places to spend a night or get a meal or just check out the history, check out the museums. They're really wonderful. There's a ton more riding in Colorado outside the San Juans. I mean, you've got the Gunnison area, you've got tons of other mountains outside of Denver, you've got Rocky Mountain National Park. You can also check out the Colorado Backcountry Discovery Route, the COBDR is a great ride to do. Basically anywhere in Colorado is going to be amazing for you. There's a lot of roads that go through these wild areas that you're still able to ride. And if you haven't ridden the Colorado mountains, you really owe it to yourself to get out there and do it. Now, going down into New Mexico is also almost just as good as Colorado, honestly, especially the northern part. Anyway, I just highly advise you check out Colorado. You can also go up into Wyoming and Montana. I mean, you can't go wrong. Idaho, but Colorado is really a great place if you have limited time. So my number 4 favorite place to ride, and this is more of a journey than a specific destination, but it's the Continental Divide Ride or the Continental Divide Trail. So you could hear it might be called CDR, CDT. Basically, it's a route composed mostly of dirt roads and gravel roads that starts in Antelope Wells, New Mexico, and ends in the northern part of Montana near Glacier National Park. So I rode the entire CDR, I think it was 2009 on my KLR, and it was one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life, not to mention just on motorcycles. Bikes like the 790 are perfect for it. It doesn't really matter what bike you have. As long as it's capable of doing some light off-road, you're going to have a great time. It's non-stop scenery all the way from the border of Mexico all the way to the border of Canada. It's truly incredible. It's, in my opinion, the best part of this country in terms of scenery and people, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You really got to do it. Now, I went back and rode parts of it again a couple years later. I've also kind of tried to put together a route mostly on paved roads that follows the same route. So doing that entire ride takes between 10 and 20 days, depending on how fast you ride and how many miles you cover in a day, and if you do all the hard sections. There was a couple of small hard sections that I skipped, and there was 1 or 2 parts that I had to skip due to heavy rain and mud and things like that. But it doesn't really matter. Don't be strict about it. If you have to do a detour, it's fine. Just try to stay close to the route and you're going to have an amazing ride. My number 5 favorite place to ride is the Mojave National Preserve. So the Mojave Preserve is a portion of the Mojave Desert in California. It's, if you know where Las Vegas is, it's like an hour and a half southwest of Las Vegas going into California. So it's in the middle of the desert, it's high desert, it's Joshua trees, it's ancient cinder cones, it's old mining districts. It's kind of like Death Valley in the sense that you can ride all day and not really see anyone. It's a lot of sandy 2 tracks, a lot of gravel roads, dirt roads. There's some more challenging routes if you want to take it. There's also the Mojave Road, which kind of goes through the middle of it, which is a historic route. It's definitely worth spending a couple or a few days checking out and camping in the Mojave Preserve. There's some really cool campgrounds you can stay out. There's Hole in the Wall, there's Mid Hills. There's tons of dispersed camping as well if you don't like to be in a campground. But it should definitely be on your bucket list. If you live anywhere in the western United States, try to make it out to the Mojave National Preserve and ride that area. There's GPS tracks you can get online. You can read a lot about the history of the area, but it's beautiful. The best times to ride that would be like fall and spring, but you can also sneak in winter if it's not too cold, not during a storm. It gets really hot in the summer, but the cool thing about summer is you get the monsoons, which can give you really beautiful clouds, but it's probably going to be too hot to ride too much in the summer. So those are my 5 favorite places that I can think of to ride my adventure and dual sport bikes. But what about you? What are your favorite destinations for riding motorcycles in the United States? Why don't you let me know down below in the comments. As always, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to you all for your support, and we'll see you in the next video. Ride safe.